Welcome to the Critical Obsession podcast. My name is Mirella,
And I'm Zoe.
and today we're going to talk about Meet You at the Blossom.
Yeah.
This is
A
kind of an
little special
impromptu
chat.
thing. Yes, we did not
Yeah.
plan this really.
I feel like I'm gonna let you drive this one too because one of the things we talked about prior to this is that you're more familiar with the Dharma universe than I am, so you might have things that you noticed or want to comment
Okay,
on.
okay, I am familiar with the Danmei world, let's say, because I read a lot of stuff since reading Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, which was, when was it, in May? I was not able to stop
God,
since then, and
really?
I think so, wasn't
Was it
it?
that? Oh my God, yeah,
Or maybe
probably, but this year's gone
June,
really
May
fast.
or June. Yeah.
Nah, I don't think it was. No, I reckon May's probably. Yeah, May's probably right.
Yeah, but I'm not that familiar with the Chinese series, so you know so much
No.
more in this regard.
Oh, yeah, maybe, but like I feel like this is kind of a specific genre. Do you know what I mean? Like even though it's a TV drama, it lends itself more to the I mean it's based on, um the worlds that you're familiar with versus, standard Chinese drama, which is what I tend to watch. This is probably maybe the second or third like of this kind that I've watched where it was like this. And of course, obviously, the first one that I ever saw was The Untamed, which is the untapped, the untamed, the untapped. What do you call it? Potential that just never was. Um, which is of course the drama based from Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. I always want to say demonic possession and just
I think
demonic
like it
cultivation.
was called like this somewhere. Like it's called differently
Maybe.
on different platforms. I'm really sorry if there was any
Maybe.
noise in the background. I have some stuff going on in the background here that I not have control over. I mean, I'll try to take it out in the editing stage, but some
You
things
mean you
just
can't control the
yes.
you can't control the universe?
Cannot control the
Here we go,
universe.
people. You heard
Sadly.
it here. She cannot control the universe. Yeah, so I that was the first one I watched, and it was funny because it was a bribe slash exchange with a friend of mine who was like, I was trying to get my friends all to watch Not Me at the time. She was like, "I'll watch Not Me if you watch The Untamed." 14 versus 6 versus like 50 episodes later. I feel like she got the better deal of that one, but I did like it, but you could see like what it was meant to be, and it was really sad that it never quite got there, even though it's really, really good. So I was really curious and looking forward to reading, or not rather reading, watching Meet You at the Blossom, because I was like, okay, what are they going to do with this? Knowing that it was, I believe, like a collaboration between like Chinese, Taiwanese, and Thai, is how it actually got made in this way, and so hopefully it's successful. I feel like it was successful, at least from my point of view, and hopefully that will lead to future endeavors, which will be better and better and better. And
Yeah, I hope it's well received and they gets green lights for other projects and
others,
gets more investment and stuff. Yeah, and more
yeah,
people know about
it's
this
that's
genre.
right. It's really funny. Well, so I've gone into my drama list to get the names and everything because I'm hopeless, as you guys know. I'm hopeless with remembering characters' names, and there's a lot of characters in this, and there's a lot of difficult pronunciation. Well, maybe not, but for me, so This is a blanket apology for any names that I butcher while we're talking about this. But while I went in there, I was just having a bit of a look around and stuff, and I've
We
just seen a
butchered,
random.
Zoe. We
Yeah,
admit to that, please.
yeah, both of us. Yeah. Okay, so it's for both of us. A
Yes,
blanket
please.
apology. Um, but I saw this comment in my drama list by a user called Vixen by Night 72, and it got here at times Blossom, and I don't know if this is something that this person themselves are have said, because they've got it in like quotations, so they may have taken it from somebody else, but they've posted it. And it says, at times, Blossom can be a hoot because of its narrative shortcomings. It's ridiculous, but wink, wink, it knows it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
it's funny. We've talked about this in that it's like, I
It's
actually
like,
think they did a really good job
mhm.
overall, but there are definitely some moments where you're like laughing and you're like, am I meant to be
Yeah,
laughing?
but
Should I be laughing at this?
it does feel
Yeah,
like it's not like you're laughing at them, but that like they're laughing along with you, like they know what they're doing,
yeah,
and it's like a
yeah,
good
they know.
feeling because you feel awkward when you're
Like,
laughing at something because you think that they're taking themselves so seriously. I mean, they still
yeah,
take themselves seriously when it comes to serious topics, but when
yeah,
dealing with a ridiculous situation, they'll make it as funny as possible and just jump into the tropes and just like swim in them. And you're like,
yeah.
wow,
Well,
wow,
it's
they
funny
really went
too
there.
because yeah, it's funny too because of course, obviously, we have uh Huan, which is like one of the main characters, and I know I just said that wrong, but anyway,
Huayan.
and Ryan, yeah, and he is okay. Everybody, start a counter now. How many different ways I'm going to say that name? But anyway, one of the things that I actually thought was really funny about his character or like his story is that we had this like obviously trope of like extreme jealousy coming from him,
Mhm.
and in some parts of the storyline it would be super serious and they dealt with it in that way, but every now and then it was like they broke the fourth wall or something where like the character themselves actually like he's like he knows how ridiculous he was being, but you see him like embrace it and he's just like, I really don't care. And then those moments would be like of extreme jealousy would be funny because like
Mm.
you might like read about something like this or watch it and normally go, okay, well that's like, it's interesting or I'm enjoying it or whatever, but like it's super toxic. But it was
I
really
feel like
fun to see the character be like, this is like extreme, but you know what? I'm embracing it because like I don't care that I'm acting like a crazy person.
But I feel like it fits his
um,
character though. It fits his background, his experience, you know. The fact that he's
oh, it does.
so obsessive and jealous because he's never had anything for himself his whole life and now this
Yeah,
person like gave themselves to them. This is how he views this. Like now he's mine and
yeah,
I cannot share it with anyone because everyone takes stuff away from me, so I'm going to,
yeah.
bite into this and
Cling
never
to it.
let go. Yeah, like be
Yeah.
so aggressive, like it makes sense. But one thing that I was thinking about that is ridiculous and they know it's ridiculous but they still go along with it, and it's like how it's, for example, when Xiao Bao meets Huayan, the fairy, the beauty in the woods
Oh
fighting
yeah, yeah,
and like, oh my god, she is so beautiful, oh my god, help her, this is my future wife or whatever. Because in the novel, as far as I know, I haven't read it, but I know that Huayan, well, and I don't know how much time passes from the start to finish, but he is supposed to be 15 at the start of
oh
the
wow,
novel. Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, and I don't know how it's treated in the text, but
yeah.
like
Well, I
you can
feel like
see how someone would see a 15-year-old boy with long hair that is very beautiful and think like, okay, maybe it's a girl,
yeah,
but when
yeah,
he
yeah.
looks, although the actor who plays Xiao Bao is not that tall, so maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he does, and he is really pretty. He is really, really pretty. The thing that I found, the thing that amused me the most about that whole section where Zhao Bao like totally thinks that he's a woman is that like standardly when he's dressed, like he's very pretty, but then when he embraces this like, okay, I'm going to pretend to be a woman to
Mm-hmm.
like, get the information or like whatever that I need,
Mm.
he starts dressing in a way and like wearing a veil and all this stuff, and suddenly he so totally looks like a dude. Like it's never been more obvious that he's a man as to when he's dressing, like supposedly dressing as a woman. Which like amused the hell out of me. And I don't know once again whether or not that was on purpose, but I was just like, he just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like, taking that part of his face away that made the upper part of his face look more masculine, which is funny because obviously like usually with guys it's to do with the jaw, and you get the slight 5 o'clock shadow and all that tends to like give guys away and stuff like that. But it was just, I don't know what it was with the veil on. He just, I'm like, okay, well, suddenly looks very manly for some reason, which just amused me. But yeah, no, it's funny. I feel like they must have done some artistic liberties because I don't think he's meant. He seems to not worldly, and I don't really want to use the word mature because I don't really feel like that fits him either. But he doesn't come across as a 15-year-old
No, they do
at the start
mention
of
in
it.
the series at some point that he's almost 20 because he has a
Yeah.
conversation. Someone has a conversation with him and they're like, oh, you're almost 20. You should think about the people. I think
Mm.
it's the brother or his foster dad who says that to him, the prince.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When they meet, then he's like, I do not give a fuck about anyone.
Yeah. Do we know, like, in the book, like, how old is Xiao Bao meant to be? Is he meant to be younger
I
or the
don't
same
know.
age,
I
or
don't know.
yeah? Because
I think he's older.
yeah,
He's
which is
supposed to
funny
be
because
older.
in the drama, he definitely comes across as younger. Like, he's like a playful puppy almost, like in the beginning, and like towards the end as well. Like, he's so, like, that's just how he comes across, and that's part of that's part of his problem. He's like, just like, oh, hello, and approaching everybody, and meanwhile you've got jealousy in the background, just like wishing death upon everybody. Um, and but yeah, so he what was I gonna say? So yeah, so he comes across as quite young, and they do say, someone does say about him as well that, like,
He's almost 20 or
he's
something, or
yeah, well, no, they say, what did they say, that he's almost
18. I don't
an
remember.
adult, or
Uh-huh.
he's approached maturity or something like that, and I was just like, oh, okay. So I mean,
Yeah,
I
now
think we're
I'm
just
second
like
guessing it. Was it 20 or was it 18? The thing is that they're not 15 for sure. And like,
no,
I think they made it look like a coming of
mm,
age story, right? Because they are approaching adulthood, both of
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah,
And I think this makes the character of Xiao Bao a bit different from the way he's in the novel. I think in the novel he is a bit more experienced, let's say. Although they do say
yeah,
that he has experience, but they make it feel like he didn't really have success in love affairs. He tried a lot,
yeah. Yeah,
but
I feel like they did lead into the, like, I mean, he's clearly a regular at the local brothel, so like he's not a virgin or anything, like, at all in that respect, but he's not, yeah, not well versed in the ways of love. Um, you know, he's well versed in the, like, I want to be in love but not I'm actually in love.
you just said I want to be in love, and probably, yeah, that probably describes his character. Like he wants to be in love, while the other one is someone who wants to be loved.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny too because, like, I feel like by raising their ages um and everything, and it does kind of, I feel like it adds a darkness, especially to, I'm gonna say his name wrong, say his name for me.
Huayan.
Hyen, yeah.
Mm.
Hyen's character, it adds another level of darkness, I feel like, by making them slightly more mature. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that, like, a younger character couldn't carry the darkness that he
Mm-hmm.
does, but I feel like it's more believable because he has that, like,
Like his
in the beginning it's almost
personality
like,
is formed. Like it's
that's right. Yeah, he's been like, yeah, that's right. He's been um like, embodied by this, like, slow burn torture for his entire life, that he's just, it's like a quiet desperation, where he doesn't even dare to, like, consider um anything except for his freedom. Like, that in the beginning, that's his, like, main whole entire goal. And very quickly, um because Zhao Bao just, like, is the creature that he is. It's funny that he describes Yuan as, like, a fairy, like, princess kind of character and all this sort of stuff. Where in actual fact that kind of describes Xiao Bao, like, way better, because he has that, like, light, happy, tinkling kind of like innocence to him, where he's just like, all lit up and glistening and shiny, and like
Well,
he literally walks with bells attached to him for like the first like what 5 episodes.
if you, it
When he's all covered
depends.
in his gold and stuff.
It depends on which fairies, like which folklore you're referencing to, because fairies
Oh,
can be
I'm
fucking
referring to
creepy.
more.
Like
Oh
fairies
yeah,
in
no,
woods getting people lost and enchanting them, blah blah. If you think from
true,
this point of view, like
true.
he described Hawaiian quite well.
He did, but like when he just sees
But this
him,
is not
he's
what he
all
meant, though.
white.
Yeah.
No, no, he meant like the tinkling, like
Uh-huh.
romantic fairy, which is how he comes across.
I
And
really
so
love his character, his openness, his
mm-mm.
softness.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot imagine someone else, someone having a different approach, being so successful at getting Huayan to open up and become vulnerable. Like
Yeah,
even
it's definitely
like he's
because he
so
is the way he is.
patient. Yes, patient with like the stuff that someone would consider weird. I remember that conversation where Huayan was asking him about his father, like, why are you sad about people dying? And Xiao Bao just listened to him, took it seriously. He wasn't like, oh, you're like asking such weird questions. What's wrong with you? He just actually thought about his answers and gave meaningful a meaningful response, like he was actually trying to provide a thoughtful answer.
Yeah.
So he was actually teaching him. What is it about boys needing to be taught to,
Be
be
real
real boys?
boys.
Is it the troll that we're
Okay.
into?
Yeah. I feel like it must be. It seems to be a theme in like majority of the things that we've talked about so far on this podcast. Um but yeah, it's interesting, as you said, like the way he is that way, and it's so funny because in the beginning he's so like naive and so innocent
Mhm.
that he like he's so like he's so once he sort of realizes that like he's not who he says he is and everything. Zhao Bao is like, I'm going to like trick him and I'm gonna make him fall in love with me and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And he does do all those things, but like meanwhile in in amongst his like evil dastardly plans, he's like just tripping over his own heart. Which he's like, because he gave too much of himself, like as you said, like he was so open to Huan that he just like, you know what I mean? Like before he even realized it, he'd like let him all the way in. And so he was basically, there's a saying like he was hoisted with his own petard. Like I don't know, that's like pirate speak, I think. But it was so funny. Like never has that been so true, like that he was just, and it was true all the way through, because like even like when he felt betrayed and he was suddenly had to grow up really really quickly because he was being like tortured both physically and mentally, internally, and everything. He still like couldn't keep him out of his heart. Like he was, they were just permanent fixtures in each other's hearts at that point. Like there was just no going back, right or wrong, good or bad, toxic or
Mhm.
not, whatever. It was just, they couldn't go back.
I think the thing that was interesting about his character, not that it was interesting, but what described his character in the beginning is that he saw the world like in simple terms. His parents are his parents. Like they'll always support him. They are amazing. They're the best people, right? These bad guys are bad guys. Like they are going to try to rob you. They are going to try to kill you. He was taught that, yeah, here these guys are bad guys. Then Huayan, when he met him, was someone who was someone to conquer, right? So at the beginning, he saw him in that way, and then in the end of episode 1, when Huayan basically like instinctively decided to sacrificed himself because he jumped in front of Xiaobao to catch those needles. So like, and then they had the intimate encounter. So he decided that Huayan is also into him, and then like he could see nothing wrong. Like it was white and black for him. Like you cannot,
Mhm.
like, he had to grow to go through the experience of seeing someone who loves you causing you pain when you thought that was
Mm.
impossible, to learn that that was a part of life.
Yeah. Well, as you said, that's an interesting way to put it, because yeah, he saw things always very simply as you said, good and bad, white and black, all that sort of stuff. And then what he was introduced to by their love, essentially, and like all the things that then further unfolded from that when he found out about his parents' betrayal and all those other things, was suddenly there was all this gray that
Complexity.
he'd never considered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's one thing to be told. It's like anything, and we work this out ourselves, as we grow and develop, from children to adults, whether or not your parents have prejudice, whether or not like it's a family prejudice, whether or not it's an environmental, cultural prejudice or whatever. Like often we're told things or we hear things about like a certain group of people or a certain type of person or whatever. Like what you're saying, like in this, it was good versus bad or like whatever. Um, and you have this idea in your mind when you actually meet a person or something from the one of those groups or from that thing. It's like it's very different to sort of like talk about something in a very kind of, I guess, academic way, versus when you actually meet somebody and suddenly they're a real person. Like as you said, like when he saves him and everything, like and when they start having actual conversations and stuff, he's not like he becomes a, you know three-dimensional character versus a two-dimensional character. Let's put it that way. Like suddenly he's a real person
Mm-hmm.
who, it's not, as I said, there's complexities there. It's not as simple as, you know is he good or evil, or and it's like, it's funny, I saw some discussions as well about this, like while watching this, whether it was on Twitter or Tumblr or wherever I saw it, I can't remember now, where people were talking about like, does Huan's history of like, past torture and abuse and like whatever else make up for the fact that he is essentially does all these, he's a morally great character and he does all
Mm-hmm.
of these bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Do they justify, or can you say, oh well, like he's like this because of that, so that's okay? I feel like that depends on your opinion, and that's a whole huge discussion on like morality and stuff. But like, I feel like maybe it's not okay, but it's understandable. Do you know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like then there was another discussion that I saw, which was about how like he did all these horrible things to Zhao Bao, and he never really apologized for any of them. Like his response to all of it was like, "I love you, and you promised you'd forgive me." Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not an apology. But then he did like self-sacrifice a bunch of times to the point where he almost died multiple times to save Zhao Bao, to save his family,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to
And he
bring
did
them all
not
back
use this
together again.
information to get something from him.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Like him giving up his um, you know, potential lineage to the, like, to rule or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like even though he offered that, like I don't feel like the emperor actually
Took
took
it
that on
seriously.
board,
Yeah.
because everybody was still acting like he would probably be the one to like have succession,
Mm-hmm.
much to the younger brother's disgust. But and desired to like then kill him as much as
Mm-hmm.
he could. But like, so people were talking about how, so like he did these things but like he didn't apologize, and it's like, does the fact that he did all these things like justify the fact that he didn't apologize? Well, as I said, once again, that's a whole other discussion, and I feel like that depends on your own personal opinion as to how you feel about that at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that, like as you said, when he did these things, he was totally kind of like a self-sacrifice. The only, like, he only found out about it through a third party. Like it wasn't something he did because he wanted to get back in his good graces, or he wanted to do whatever. It's because initially back in the beginning, when he basically said to him, like, trust me and everything, he essentially told him what he was going to do without actually telling him details, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically, I think he said something like, you're going to be mad, like, you might be mad in the
Mm-hmm.
future or whatever, but you have to forgive me,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
like, I'll make it good. Like, he
Mm-hmm.
basically said to him he would make it all good. Like,
He
it wouldn't
apologized
be.
before doing that deed.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
he he begged for forgiveness before he actually did anything wrong, because he was afraid of what would
Mm-hmm.
happen, but like, he also knew that if he did, it's one of those things, like, you could talk about, as I said, he's such a morally grey character, and that you could talk about, like, did he do the right thing, did he do the wrong thing, but in his mind, he had no other option but to go the course that he did. And out of everybody who was involved with everything, he's the one who knew his, like, as you said, like, adopted father, let's call him, that's a good way to put him, I guess. He knew him the best. He understood and knew his obsession the best, because it was like, it's kind of bred into him as well. Um, and he, like, understood, I guess it's one of those things where, you know, you could try and step away from the fight. You could try and, avoid, doing these things or being involved and all that. But doesn't that put the person you love in more danger? Because, if you know that evil, and you can kind of, like, guess what they're gonna do, even if you're not involved, like, just stepping away from it wasn't gonna stop him. Like, he had a goal. He had um uh like, he had a plan of, like, revenge, and whether or not he was involved was not going to change that, but like, by being involved, maybe he could kind of direct it, maybe he could, you know
Yeah,
back
which
channel,
is
like.
what he tried doing actually. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but I mean, there were just, yeah, but there were definitely some moments that, like, I had me, like, howling with laughter. So one of the notable ones was probably um when he'd been captured, and, like, they had him, like, chained to the bed and everything, and he was, like, trying to use his magics, and he couldn't, and all that sort of stuff. And then his, like, two, like, men at arms or whatever came in, and they were like, oh, he doesn't want to see you, he's off with Suyin, all this sort of stuff. And, like, he suddenly is so jealous, like, those, it's just like a massive explosion of anger. Like, and it was kind of funny because I feel like, like, people talk about, it being toxic or too extreme or, like, whatever, but to me it was a very funny visual representation of, like, an internal emotion that you might have,
Mm-hmm.
like, like, maybe not everyone has experienced jealousy on that level, or anger, or, like, whatever, but, like, this, like, there's a reason why in novels and stuff, like, when someone's so, like, they call it, what if they call it explosive anger, or, like, whatever, like, that's, like, a visual representation of that, and it was so funny. And it was like, it just kind of encapsulated his whole personality, like, to a certain point, especially where Zhao Bao was concerned, like, he was just like, that's a no. But
Yeah, there are
then you
multiple
did
moments like this where emotions were taken to the extreme in a visual way to make
yeah,
you really,
understand.
understand what they're going through, but also get you to giggle a little bit to,
Yeah,
be aware that it's a serious. But it was done in
yeah,
in a very fun way. Like, I enjoyed it.
I
You'd
think so
think it'd
too.
feel
And I
uncomfortable, or not uncomfortable, but like weird. Like, it did not make me think, oh my god, this is toxic. It did not make me feel, did not make me get angry or anything, because I was acutely aware of the fact that, like, this is not really serious.
yeah, it's not
I don't
real
know how
life.
to
It's not,
explain it.
yeah.
Yeah, that, like, they're aware that it's a story where things are taken to the extreme, some
Mm,
of them at least. And when you're
yeah.
watching it, you're aware that that's what they're doing. Like, for example, the moment where they are partying in the last episode, and, like, they were dragging to different directions. Some people were standing, then they were sitting, then just, it was ridiculous. But it made sense. inside the
It makes
story.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like, as you said, like, aspects of toxic behavior, and I have seen people talking about the themes and things like that, and about like the jealousy, and about like this, and like, oh no, what will happen in the future if Zhao Bao happens to look the wrong way at somebody? Is he going to get murdered by the person who's meant to love him or whatever? And it's like, well, no, because he would never hurt him. Like, he might get really mad and like shake the shit out of him or something, but he's more inclined to like murder like a whole town
Well,
than he is Xiao Bao.
I think I was the only moment when I was a bit shaken, let's say, was the beginning of episode 6, was it? At the pleasure house where
Yeah, where he like is
Huayan
just like
arrives and just,
murdering people,
yeah, that was
chopping
a
off
lot. That was
chopping off
a
hands.
lot. That was
Yeah,
intense. Like, I was shaking when I
yeah.
was watching that. I was covering my mouth. I was kind of like, oh God, wow.
I know,
But
but I feel like
I think
even
what we're
in that though,
supposed
they used some
to
humor.
think that, like, he does that because he's very, very unstable. Because later Xiaobao accepts this as something that happened and does not hold a grudge against him. And I don't think after going through everything that they went through, he would react like that again ever.
Yeah. Well, that's right. In this point in time, like, as much as it's not an excuse, like, you cannot excuse him from this
No.
behavior like ever. But
I mean,
like
fucking
in
killed
the in
people. He cut off arms of people. It's just, yeah. It's
in the context of the story though, like, as you said, like, because when this happens, they don't know each other really very well.
they
Like,
don't
there's
trust
like
each
that.
other. I mean,
No,
at
that's
least
right. And so
Huayan doesn't trust Xiao Bao. He wants to control him. He doesn't trust that this thing that now he believes is his will actually, come back to him willingly.
yeah. And it's funny though, because you do get to see that character development in him, like later on and stuff. Like, he says like a few like really truly fucked up things, but it's so funny because I love them. Like, these are lines that I love and that make me go like even though they're so twisted and wrong. Like, but like, he says something about like how he wants to lock him up somewhere and like never
Yeah,
let
like,
him
I'm
out or
going to
whatever.
follow you around. I'm going to haunt you as a ghost. You'll never get rid of me.
Yeah. That's right, and all this sort of stuff. But like, he goes from the point where he's like chopping off limbs to saying he wants to do that, but like, he's not saying I'm going to do that. Like, there's a big
Yeah.
distinction in language.
It's basically
And I have to
explaining how
trust
he
it.
feels. He's trying
Yeah,
to make the
yeah.
other understand the way he feels about everything, how
That's
intense
right.
everything
And
is for him,
yeah,
and
it is.
serious.
He's
Yeah.
like, the fact that I'm restraining myself this much, do you have to appreciate, kind of thing. Like, it's so funny. And we have to trust in the translation, that the translation in that distinction is correct. I am assuming that it is. Because, as I said, there's a big distinction between I want to do this and I'm going to do this if you don't behave, kind of thing. And
But
also
like,
we
it's
see how
interesting because, like, it's something that happens in conflicts, right? When you're trying to get to someone and they, like, I remember watching, there's this channel, cinema therapy or something, and they had a reaction for the episode of Friends where Rachel and Ross break up. And because Ross were like, he was saying nice stuff and then he was like turning the blame and trying to attack and be aggressive, and then saying nice stuff again, trying to get something, trying to, get the conversation to continue to change something about it. So it's like he tried everything. He tried to show his, soft side, and when that didn't work, he tried to threaten him, and then went back to that soft vulnerability, and then back to threatening. It's kind of, it fits him, and it fits his character, and it fits his life experience. Because sometimes there are characters that are just like this because they are jerks. They are horrible people.
Yeah.
But here, like, he needs therapy.
Yeah, he does. But as I said, you can, even though both situations, like the murdering people and chopping off limbs versus the I'm going to lock you in a room, like whatever kind of conversation, are both truly fucked up. There is there's a different, and there's a distinction between the two, and also that is character development. Even though it's still fucked up, it's still character development. And then of course we have, as I said, the moment we were talking about before, where he like literally exploded over jealousy and anger about Zhao Bao being with Xu Yin. And so he's like in that moment he's just like wanted to go and like tear them apart and do whatever. And then towards the end, when it comes more about, you know, saving Zhao Bao's life and everything, like he doesn't like that he's there or anything like that, but at the same time he will leave him with him, or like tolerate him being there, because he knows that Zhao Bao needs that. He needs the protection. He needs the other person who can do the healing, you know, power thing on him. Like, so
Yeah, but
he's,
also
even
there's
though he's not
episode
happy about it and
11.
he's jealousy.
There's also the end of episode 11, where he is basically told that Xiao Bao doesn't want you anymore. And he accepts it.
Oh, yeah.
He just accepts it. After all the threats, after, you know, all the anger and crazy talk at the end, when faced with this harsh reality, you know, subjective reality, unreal reality, with a lie, well, he just lets go, which is huge.
Yeah. Well, it is, but it also does, once again, it fits with his personality and his experiences, doesn't it? In that like whole thing where he doesn't actually truly think he deserves him. He doesn't think he truly deserves to be happy, or that he is good enough, or that he can actually have a you know, successful, happy future. Like that is, you know, he's devastated, but like he doesn't seem surprised by it. Like he doesn't argue about it. He just, as I said, like basically lies down and dies over it, sort of thing.
When I think about him, I imagine like a very, very frightened animal in the corner.
Yeah.
So frightened all the time, horror in his head, you know, anxiety all the time, and then some moments of peace caused by Xiao Bao, especially towards the end. He's so peaceful. I mean, even when he snaps at Suyin in episode 12, like he does not throw stuff, he does not scream or anything. It's quite mellow for him, the way he reacts.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that as well is like it factors into the fact that he is like he starts to trust Zhao Bao, and he trust in their love, and you know, like that. So this person is less of a threat. You know what I mean? Like that's part of it, I think, too. But yeah, I feel like as well, like do you know what there was some bits as well with Zhao Bao that I just absolutely loved, and also I cracked up about. So when we've been watching this, it's really funny. So we were watching it fairly consistently at the same time. Did you start watching it when it aired, or did I start watching it first? I think I started watching it first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, you really need to watch this so we can talk about it. And I said the same thing to my mum, and my mum doesn't like Chinese dramas. I don't really know why. I think it's a language thing. I think she's too many languages that she listens to or something like that. And so she, as a rule, doesn't really watch them. That being said, some of her favorite dramas are Chinese dramas, so that's really funny. Like, for example, if you haven't seen it, guys, you should go and watch Hidden Love. It's adorable and so much fun. And you would agree with that, wouldn't you?
Love Hidden Love.
Hidden Love, the one where she's like, yeah.
Yes.
So we love Hidden Love.
Series.
So yeah,
one of the best Chinese series.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's really good. Lots of fun, guys. And so yeah, so completely different to this. Not that this wasn't fun, but like in a different way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I sort of talked her into watching it as well, and my mum really, really liked it. So I was like, suddenly I had two people to talk to about, which was great. And then when was it, like around episode 7, wasn't it? Episode 6. I watched up to episode 6 consistently, and then episode 7 came out, and I do not know why I didn't watch it. I think it was really late for some reason or something. And you watched it.
And then the betrayal started. The betrayal, which caused my fucking Tumblr account to come back to life because I had no one to talk to, like to write something, to do something, to interact.
I offered to put my mum on the phone for you, honestly, because like I think episode 7 is like a cliffhanger, yeah, and I was like, or was it no? It was episode 8. Was it episode 8 where the cliffhanger was? I can't remember. Anyway, I think something fucked up happens in episode 7, and then there was a cliffhanger at the end of episode 8, I think. And so, of course, you both stupidly told me this. And I was like, well, I'm going to wait until next week then. And just, it was funny because that wasn't my initial thought. We had been talking about it, you and I kept saying to you, oh, yeah, I'll watch the episodes tonight, or, I'll, and then like that would happen and I wouldn't watch them. And then I kept like making it my plan to like watch those episodes, and then I think by the time it was like Tuesday or something of the following week, I was like, all right, let's be honest with myself, I'm not watching these until like tomorrow. And
Listen,
then I'll just watch all 4 together.
I know, like the anxiety was there, like the cliffhangers were cruel as fuck, but the Tumblr, the discussion was so fun. People's reactions was so, amusing. I do not regret, being tortured a little bit, being made to wait.
I also don't regret watching all 4 episodes at once because I do like to binge. But at the same time, I think I said this to you, like I think I said the exact same thing, that I didn't regret it. But at the same time, I could appreciate the fact that you were meant to get that kind of pining moment of like cliffhanger
you had to
drama, because that's
part of the experience.
Yeah, that's right. It was part of the, and it added value to like what happened next, or like whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a reason why they do things like that. It's not always just for drama, for dramatic response, for you to like then be eager to see what happens next. I mean, yes, obviously that's the main reason, but also sometimes there's more to the story than that it factors into it. So it was, yeah, so I get that I might have missed something from that, but it's really funny because we were watching it this way. There was a lot of like very hilariously funny all caps messages from Morella, Annie, voice messages and stuff, where she was actually, I have to like give her kudos, she was really, really good at not spoiling me at all, but like she was so dramatic. Like you said, there was I can't remember which day it was, but you sent me so many messages and they were all in all caps and like a bunch of gifs, and it was so dramatic. It was so hilarious. I just took it out and showed my mum.
In line
with
like, the series, with the vibe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because she hadn't seen it yet, the episode that you were like flailing about, and I said to her, here, read this, and she just laughed, and I said, I love her so much, she's so dramatic. And my mum watched it, like whatever it was, I can't remember which episode it was, and she's like, oh yeah, well it was an accurate like response. So I know, like when I was watching the last couple of episodes and everything, I think one of the things that I flailed about that I thought was really funny was with Zhao Bao, was he kept promising people shit, and I was getting like, every time he would promise some, like Morella was getting like voicemails from me where I was like, stop promising things, like what are you doing? Because I was seeing, like, it was envisioning like problems like appearing in the future because of these like promises he kept making to people. And like the part where he was like where he said to Shu Yin about how like, oh, if you save him, I will get married and have children and do this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, shut up.
Listen, he did everything he could in that moment because that's the only way to get it.
I love later on, like when it gets brought up by Sheehan and he's just like, oh, it was like a band-aid effect. So basically he's like, I was just like lying to get you to do what I wanted you to do. Like he's so fragrantly like, just like, yeah, well, I'm full of shit.
You're aware of it, I'm aware of it, everyone is aware of it.
Yeah, I laughed so much when this conversation was happening, because it was also happening during this really serious, like supposedly like super painful moment in the story where they were
to
trying
lighten
to
the mood,
him.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, like like Shun's but what about your promise? And he's like, well, you can't hold me to that. Like I was desperate, and like you can see him looking at Hyun and just being like, yeah, babe, it's alright. I was lying. We're good. So the
Yeah.
whole thing was just extremely amusing to me, and I was just like, I love that he had that level of like self awareness of the
Hmm.
fact that he's just like, yeah, I'm full of shit. Like you should never trust me. Unless you're like the man he loves, like you should never trust him. And even then, like he was still like even towards the end, he's like, oh yes, I have him completely under my control. Like I can't remember what he says and in the context, but that is essentially like,
Yeah,
you
when
know,
the little girl asked if Huayan Jin
oh
saw
yeah, if
you, right? If he doesn't
yeah, if
mind, it's like, don't worry about it.
he's like, I've got it covered, sort of thing. And the funny thing is like he was literally not wrong, like
No,
honestly. But at the same
yes.
time, like, he was tempting fate by saying it, but like also, there's probably very little that he could not get away with.
Another thing that I loved about this series is the representation of parental figures and the exploration of the theme of forgiveness. Like
Mm,
when people can be forgiven, when they cannot be forgiven, how complex these parental figures were, and like there are tropes, the
yeah.
unforgivable one, the incorrigible one, right? How like
Mm,
his dad could not be was not given a second chance toward the end. I love that. While Xiao
yeah.
Bao's parents were given, and then we had the representation of Huayan's mother as like this symbol of innocence, and then his dad was as someone who made a mistake, but he owns up to it and he tries to fix it, right? And
Mm,
then Huayan himself doing shit that hurts the person that he loves most.
yeah. And it's interesting the way you sort of framed that with the parents and that. I did really like it. In actual fact, pretty much all of the parents were like fucked up in or had made mistakes in some way
Mm-hmm.
or another, which is realistic. Let's be honest. Like when you become a parent, you're not given a friggin' manual. You're not there's no course for it. You just kind of like wing it every day and hope that you don't fuck your kids up. At least that's how I imagine it to be. And you try and not make the same mistakes that maybe your parents made with you, and like things like that. um and so like, and as you said, and I think the big difference, like the consistent difference between like why Zhao Bao's parents were able to be forgiven versus Huayan's parent or father, rather stepfather, whatever you want to call him, adopted
Foster
father,
dad. Yeah.
foster dad, is that he gave him no love. There was no support. It was like pain and torture and like betrayal, essentially. Whereas
And he
Zhao
was
Bao's
never
parents, like,
sorry. He never regretted what he did.
no, he didn't see him as a child that needed love and support. He was just an instrument for his revenge.
He was
Whereas
like
Zhao,
a representation of what he lost, of what he did not
yeah,
have the right to own, in a way.
yeah, and Zhao Bao is his parents loved him, they sheltered him, they protected him, even though they did these things and they were in the wrong and everything. They still, even in the end, you see that like at the end of it, everything where like we're told multiple times that the two men together is not a natural thing in the society. It's not really an acceptable thing, and yet his at the when like at the end of the day his parents don't push at that. They don't, like, they accept them even though they don't understand Zhao Bao's love for him and everything like that. They kind of like accept it. So there's all these reasons that it makes sense for you to want to forgive them as parents and things like
Hmm.
that. I did really like though what they did with the little girl,
Yeah,
because
I wanted to mention this because it's
because
so subjective,
yeah,
isn't it? It's subjective.
well, I think the thing is she is coming at it from a completely different perspective of, like, you can see that she in the beginning and everything, she's close to the mother, of course.
Hmm.
Obviously, most little girls are close to their mother. but like at the same time she seems most close or most like interested in or invested in Zhao Bao, um as a sibling bond or like whatever, which makes sense because he rescued her. Like he's the one that saved her from like her tragic past, let's call it. Now she may not remember any of that, but like unconsciously maybe there is a bond there between them that is different,
And
like
maybe
from the very
unconsciously
beginning.
knowing that he is very sincere with her. Like he's not
Yeah,
actually hiding anything. He doesn't know.
that's right. Yeah, for as much as we know, he's never lied to her even. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like it's, I can tell, I could almost even see him being the kind of character where like even if he had been, sneaking out to do something naughty or something, like as an adult and she caught him, he would probably just tell her the truth as to what he was doing and then be like wink at her or something and then
Mm-hmm.
quickly like slide out the side door. Like he comes across that he would probably have been quite frank with her. And so um she is not like the way she says like it's, I'm not concerned or interested in adult things, like I don't, she's not, she doesn't care about their excuses or their like whatever, she doesn't hate them, she doesn't whatever, she just wants to, this is how she wants to be moving forward. And it's funny because it's an actually kind of a quite a mature decision, but it's made from the perspective of a child where they're not looking at it from, the morality of it, they're not looking, she's not looking at it from like why, like their motivations or anything like that. She's like, I don't care about any of that. This is what makes me feel comfortable and safe. And it makes sense. And she lends it towards the fact that she wants to stay with him. But it's very obvious, even as like even as we lead to the like the end of the show, where basically she becomes the world's largest cockblock, um, for them, where it's almost like she seems like she's teasing him and like trying to like kind of put it not a wedge between them, but like in a playful way. You like a casual viewer or observer might think that she doesn't like Huan, but I think she actually very much likes him.
Yeah,
And I think he also makes her feel safe. So
because he's
you
also
have to look at,
sincere with everything that he does with her.
that's right. Like he said, he did say that, like when she said to him, when he went back to try and get the flower and that from his father, not knowing already that she had it, she said to him then, you promised to take me home, like you promised to take me back to him. And he follows through with that, even when Shu Yin is trying to say that, like tell Zhao Bao that he's dead and that he was evil and all the rest of it. And she says, like he saved me. I like him. I think he's a good man. Like, like it's an innocent child response. Like, but he made her feel safe. He, as you said, he backed up what he was said he was going to do. He stayed true to his word, and then also factor in the fact as well that she visibly actually saw him putting himself in between her and what essentially is danger, to the point where he was half dead kind of thing. And then he kept trying as well, kept putting himself at risk for her brother as well, and ultimately helped save him. So in her mind, he's probably a great protector, not just for herself, but also for her brother, who she values like a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So it made sense for her to. That's the simple explanation for that is I feel safe. This is how I want it to be.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. I thought it was a good way to deal with it. I feel like if they had gone off with the parents and she'd gone off with them, it would have been quite unrealistic for her just to accept everything because she was old enough to know better,
Mm-hmm.
like to have hang-ups about what happened,
Mm-hmm.
but also young enough to like not, you know what I mean, make it a big thing necessarily. I don't know if
Crave
I
for
worded that
vengeance.
properly. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I think it helps
Another.
that like, sorry, I think I was going to say I think it helps as well that like the adults involved actually did kind of like tell her the truth. Like
Mm.
once they did, it was like everyone spoke to her like she understood and that like she was an adult necessarily, but they didn't like kind of like talk down to her or be like, oh, you wouldn't understand why this happened or whatever. Like everyone tried to actually have a conversation about her and tell her the truth in one way or another. And so I feel like that helped the situation as well. But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Another moment that I really liked, and I was surprised to see it, was the moment in the woods where Zong Zhang Yu Yan, I know I'm
Was this
butchering the
the
name,
young priest?
the foster dad, you know, the Huayan's,
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
not
yeah.
dad,
Yep.
is
Mhm.
caught, and Li Gongxiang tells him basically his point of view on that whole thing with Huayan's mother, and he said, well, did she want that happen to her? Did you ask her if she wanted that? You know, everything that
Mm.
you tried to do with her, to her. And oh my God, I did not expect that to be there, because it painted him um, as this like nice guy character. Well, obviously he's not the nice guy, but this is how he sees himself, you know? This
Yeah.
self-sacrificing moron who, you know, paints the world in that like these romantic colors. I'm going to suffer forever for her, and you know, like she loved me, I loved her, and that's all that mattered, and just basically disregarding every other aspect of life and other people's opinion and how his actions affect the world around him and people around him, and just so stuck with his vision of how things should be and how things are, that he's unable to bring happiness to anyone, even to himself. He makes himself
Mm.
miserable as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the conversation too as well kind of like alluded to the fact that maybe she didn't actually even like him, that like
Mm-hmm.
this obsession that he had with her may have been one-sided, and it was
Mm-hmm.
so extreme that it made other people question her morality to
Mm-hmm.
the point where, like
I
she
mean, come
died
on, it's
because of it.
so normal. Like like it's always happening. I don't even think that it had to be extreme, because you know, when someone makes advances on a person who is, you know, engaged in some kind of a uh, you know, situation, people always look at the person who gets the advances as if they are guilty, as if they did
Yeah, like,
something,
well,
as if like they.
they did something to encourage it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Like it's always like this, isn't it?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
like he didn't even need to do much, but he didn't care about her safety. He only cared about the way he saw the world and his feelings,
Mm. Yeah,
while
well,
telling
that's right.
himself that it's, you know, like this big romantic thing that he's doing. And just, I have a thing with characters like this. I don't like them. Like
Mm.
this is the character from you know, Love in the Time of Cholera, or like the, you know,
I
Great
still can't
Gatsby or
believe you read a
something.
book
Like,
called Love in the Time of Cholera.
I mean, I struggle with it a lot. I hated it. But it's there. It's in my head now, and I like this character exists, and it's like it's an archetype. It's like this
Yeah.
character who thinks they're so romantic and is stuck in their way and just unable to see the world for what it is. They just see what they want
Mm.
to see.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah. It, the funny thing is with this show, and it's funny because I mean, obviously, I don't know like exactly what listeners are getting from this. If you've seen the show, I'm sure you're like sitting here nodding your head and stuff like that. If you've not seen the show, you're probably going, "What the hell are they talking about?" In which case, go and watch the show. And then you'll
do
completely
yourself a
understand.
favor. Go watch it.
Yeah, go and watch it. It was a lot of fun. Look, were there things that were wrong with it? Of course. Like, show me a show that is like 100% perfect. Like, it's pretty rare. Like, if you can point to one, I think I could point to one or two, but it's pretty rare. Like, everyone usually there's some sort of flaw or there's something. And sometimes, as you said, it's subjective. It's a personal opinion whether or not you like certain things and the way things are done and all the rest of it, but they did a pretty good job given like that this is kind of a new thing. It's a definite kind of, I guess, experiment between the three, like, cultures trying to pull this together and make something, step around the kind of ban and boundaries um of you know things that are basically like taboo and you're not allowed to
Mm-hmm.
do and all the rest of it. And so the fact that it even exists is like
A
kind of a
miracle.
little yeah, mini
Yes.
miracle, yeah. And it definitely, yeah, does it have flaws? Yes, but then the genre does as well. Like the
Yeah.
genre is from what I can understand from the many crazed messages from Morella from the multiple books that she's read. One of the things that is glaringly obvious to me is that a huge thematic thing in this genre is that it is fucked up,
Well,
basically.
not,
So if
yeah,
you're not into that,
in different ways.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, exactly. But the general overship that comes through is that it's kind of fucked up, and so in which case, or if not fucked up things will happen.
Mm.
And if you're not into that, then just don't watch it. Just avoid it. It's not for you, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be for you. It's like made for other people who like it when shit gets fucked up. Um,
Yep.
and so, which is clearly us, obviously. But but yeah, so the fact that it exists, they did a really good job. The characters had great chemistry. They were fun. As you said, there was this really kind of interesting thing where they were like, "Yeah, we know that this is a trope that is like kind of ridiculous, but don't you love it?" Like
Yeah,
wink,
because,
wink,
like,
nudge, nudge.
yes, they know, they are aware that it's not, all the things that they do not do very well, but they still do it in a sincere way. It does not feel ironic. It's like done respectfully, with respect to the people that are into this stuff.
Yeah,
It's
and I
like you're
feel
not
like as well.
they're not shaming you for liking it, for being into it.
No,
They're having fun with
no,
it.
that's
They're like,
right.
yes, that's actually
That's right.
funny. Like they're finding the fun aspect of it. Like they understand what is so entertaining about certain things and
Yeah.
certain tropes.
What what makes people go hee hee hee,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And it's funny too as well, because as you said, like some things maybe they didn't do well and that, but they didn't apologize for it. They just went ahead and they were like, yeah, okay, but like let's do this. Like it was very much that vibe. And it was,
Amazing.
I appreciated that.
Me
Like as you
too.
said, it was kind of authentic in the fact
Mm-hmm.
that they did it that way. um and there were, varying things that, as once again, worked, didn't work, whatever. But you tended not to notice the things that didn't work overly much because you were so bamboozled by what was working, what was definitely doing it for you, like
Mm-hmm.
entertainment wise, heart wise, whatever. And then you were, for like 99% of the time, completely confused as to what the fuck was going on until about episode
Oh
six.
yeah.
Until about episode 6, where you get a kind of a brief history lesson.
Oh god, the
And
family
then you're like,
trees. Oh god.
yeah, and then you're like, "Oh, okay." And I feel like in episode 12 there was a moment as well where I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I still thought that person was related to that person. Are you now telling me they're not?" I'm like, I literally want someone to draw me a family tree that I can physically look at, and so that I'm sure that I have it wrapped in my head like as correct. Like I think I know, but I'm still not 100%.
Same.
I know that our main characters that are in love with each other aren't related, which is good. Like that's what we don't want that. But like beyond that, I feel like everyone else was freaking related at some point or another.
Another thing
um
that I loved was the symbol. The main symbol was the kite, wasn't it? And
yes,
I made a
yeah.
post about it. No one responded actually, but I
He
think
sounds slightly bitter about that. Don't like her post, guys.
don't like it. Tell me your opinion. Anyway, so in the first episode, the first thing that we see is Xiao Bao playing with the kite, and then we see Hua Yan at the edge of that cliff, yes, holding onto that kite that looks quite like Xiao Bao's. And then when we see, oh, I'm going to butcher his name again, Zhongzheng Yu Yan, he is creating kites, and he has lots of kites that are hanging out in his room, and he talks about manipulating the kite. And then at the end we have another scene where, like, it was obvious that we would get there, especially because it's in the preview, but with Xiao Bao and Hua Yan playing with the kites. And I thought about it, and sometimes, like at the beginning, I considered maybe it's supposed to be linked to like a careless childhood, and then I thought it's probably supposed to represent freedom and the joy of being free. Because in the beginning, Xiao Bao lived a careless life where he was free to experience good things, right? But
Yeah.
Xiao Huayan was tantalized with a false promise of freedom. And his foster dad had all these kites which he used against him, because this is how he made him do things, right? This is how he manipulated him. He was always promising him the freedom, his freedom. Yeah, you'll get free. You'll be free to do your thing. You'll be free to be with Xiao Bao or whatever. See him again, but he never gave that to him. So he was using the promise of freedom to manipulate him. And then in the end, they just had the freedom to be themselves and love. And plus, I think it's also like a reference to the lost childhood, to Huayan's lost childhood, and how Xiao Bao is going to cherish him and get him to experience the things that he missed out on.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that too, because as you said, like, definitely what you just said then too. But like when I remember watching it, and it's a very clear as well representation of how different their lives are and their perceptions of their worlds. Because like as you said, Xiao Bao is just like running around. He's surrounded by like what, 2 or 3 other people, like servants or something. He's giggling. He's everyone's taking care of him. It's a very joyful scene, as you said. It's a very freeing. And then we see Bian, and he's like clinging for like his life on the side of this cliff, but reaching out for the, as you said, the promise of freedom, the pretty kite, which perhaps maybe he was never actually allowed to even play with. As you said, his surrogate father had all these like kites that he made hanging up on that. I bet he was never allowed to touch them as a child and actually play with them. And then the scene in the end, I felt like it almost was like you said, like it was his Zhao Bao's way of like sharing the joy of the innocence that he still has inside of him. Like he's trying to introduce some of that innocence into Huayan's life, and and he readily accepts it. You know what I mean? Like and I love how they talk about the fact that he's struggling with the kite, like he's struggling to learn how to fly the kite, and Zhao Bao is like giving him instruction on how to do that, and like
teaches
and I
him
feel
how
like
to
they
be a real boy.
yeah, and I feel like they actually kind of build upon that, and they use sex to do it, which is kind of a funny thing to say, but like because after they're playing with the kites, and they're talking about getting married and everything, which is really cute. And then of course they once again Zhao mentions Yuan, which is like a red flag, like to the bull of Yuan. He's like jealous like for a second, but his response is like not a violent one. It's not a verbal abuse. It's a like just a kiss. It's just a kiss, which they've been dying for like they keep getting blocked by the little one. And it's so funny because like Zhao Bao is so easy. He's like literally so easy. Like it's like a kiss, and Yuan is satisfied with that, and Zhao Bao is like, "Yep, okay, like now let's go. we'll just put the kites down. Let's go to the bridal chamber," which is like everybody knows what they're doing in the bridal chamber. If you don't, well, I'm okay. Maybe this is not a PG. This is not a kid friendly podcast.
Inspecting each other's collarbones. That's what they do.
Yeah, exactly. And so of course, Huan's like, "Oh, what about the kites?" And he's like, "Oh, we don't need those." Like he's like Xiao Bao is like, "I can show you plenty of joy and fun and like whatever it is that needs to light you up inside. Let's just go in here." And so I thought that was a funny transition into that. But it's also, I mean, it is like that, it's a physical representation of their love, whatever. But it's just, like everything he had, Jabba saw joy in everything and wanted to share it with him. Like immediately as soon as he felt it, essentially. I'm sure there's some selfish stuff in there as well. you know, boys got needs, but I did
Maybe it's
like that
also
too. I
like
thought
kind
that
of
was
like a
really cute.
commitment because it's a bit. It is part of the freedom, but it's also a bit part of like giving up a part of your freedom. You know, committing to someone. Do you know what
Yeah,
I'm getting?
promising, making,
Yes. So we
making
do
promises.
need this kind of freedom in our bridal room because we commit to
Yeah,
each other there.
that's right.
You give
Yeah.
up that your
So,
freedom.
and the other thing I loved about this show, like I loved their characters, like through and through. I loved both their characters. They're so totally different, but they just really did. Yeah, they worked. I really
Fit.
enjoyed watching
Mm-hmm.
them. Yeah, they fit together. Yeah. But I also really loved um the is it Sing Ming the doctor, and I also doctor character, and I love Jun Bao. So
Q Si Ming. Mm-hmm.
you Sing Ming, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he was so funny to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was just like low key manipulative, low key like um you know, like he was so funny. Like he was like, I do not care about you at all or any of this stuff, but at the same time he was still putting his nose in, and like, you know, like he was so funny. He was like, I love, but he was like, I don't want to admit it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was literally only soft for Jin Bao, which is was cute and
I
everything.
think he likes
But
playing
like
the puppet master,
he did.
detached
But I
puppet
just
master.
love, yeah, and I loved how like exasperated he kept getting with them all the time and stuff as well, where he was just like, you know, you know, like what they'd be dying or whatever, and one of them would complain or something. He's like, "Well, fix it yourself." Like he was just so funny.
Well, because he's
And I also
eccentric, okay?
Yeah, yeah. But I love that about him as well. And I also love that he's meant to be like Xu Yin's like friend from like a long time ago, but I don't think he really liked him like at all. Like he
Mm-hmm.
was just like so not rooting for Xu like at all. Like I think that's what I mean when I say like he was definitely a character who loved love and believed in love and like true love or whatever. And I think he looked at Xu and went, "Yeah, you're not it." Like for Zhao Bao. And so he wasn't really ever rooting for him. Like instead he was like going against him pretty much the majority of the
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
manipulating and
Mm-hmm.
as being the puppet master.
What did you think
So I
about
thought
Su
that
Yin?
I'll get to that in a second. I just wanted to mention the bit like when I love there was like multiple times it happened, but I think my favorite one as well is when the doctor was talking about how he would heal Huan if he was um if Zhao Bao would give him something, and of course obviously the thing he wanted was Jin Bao, and like I love the way like Jin Bao is basically he is basically what's her name, Everdeen from what is the main character's name from Hunger Games? What's her first name?
Katniss.
Katniss. He's basically Katniss Everdeen, and he's like, I volunteer as tribute. Like he volunteers so quickly, and he does it like multiple times,
Uh-huh.
and it's so funny because in the beginning he doesn't seem like he understands the context of what's going on.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't seem like he wants to really do it, or he's doing it under sufferance, but like as soon as it's like threatened in any way, he's like, I volunteer as tribute. And it's so funny because of course once again we have this conversation where he basically illuminates or like explains that, you know, the two of them have been in love since they were little kids, which is really
Mm-hmm.
cute, and that the doctor has been looking for him for years. So he was fully aware of what was going on. He was just like playing coy, like innocent, like, you know, I don't talk about what I do with boys kind of character, which I found really kind of cute. So I really enjoyed their characters as well, and their relationship I thought was really funny. And as you talked about earlier, the end episode scene where they're like saying goodbye to each other, and you've got like um using Min trying to drag Jim Bao in one direction and Hyun trying to drag Zhao Bao in the other, and they're just like bawling, and it's just so fucking hilariously funny.
It was. It
Because
was.
they were getting jealous. the two of them were getting jealous. um, but yeah, Shuin, I don't know. I kept getting so confused by his character because, like, what episode 2 or something, I'm like, oh, he's in love with him. He's in love with Zhao Bao, and I stand by that. I
Me
feel like
too.
he
I
was,
think he's in love with him.
but I feel like he is because there's no way like he
I
acted
feel
jealous
like
too in a way that you do when you have like sexual feelings for somebody because like when um
oh,
he was semi undressed and so but like and Huan had left his coat like his cloak for him and things like that and he wouldn't take it. He clothed him in his stuff. The bit when they're in the bathtub and they're like both looking at him and then looking at each other. Like there was too many indications that he had that kind of feeling as well. But I feel like his character is meant to be like the closeted character who is kind of semi-aware of their self but has no intention of following through with it. And so because they kind of there's a bit of self-hatred there maybe where they're like, like this isn't normal or like whatever. The person like the object of their desire, like they don't want them with anyone else, but they also don't want them, doing the I'm using air quotations here, unmoral thing either, which is why he seemed to be so hung up on Zhao Bao like getting a wife and getting married and having children
mhm.
because like that's what he should be doing. And I'm like once again I'm using finger air quotations here when I say that because I think it's a load of shit.
Well, maybe here,
um
maybe if that is because I feel like it's reasonable, but it make sense that towards the end he does start to understand what he's feeling and accept his feelings, but also he's forced to accept the fact that he will never have Xiao Bao, and
yeah,
that in
he's
order to
alone in
make him
Rain's.
happy, he just has to let him go,
Yeah, I think
which he
so too.
does.
And I think, and as I said, I think his feelings, and I don't want to devalue his feelings at all. I'm not saying that they're not valid feelings or whatever, but his love or his affection or attraction or whatever that he has for Zhao Bao is not on the same level as what the two of them are experiencing. And I
Hmm.
think he becomes aware of that as well because
Hmm.
he doesn't understand. Like even as much as because he does, Shun does sacrifice a bunch of stuff and risk a bunch of things to save Zhao Bao,
Hmm.
but at the same time, he's also really comfortable at like making other people do, like put themselves at risk, like instead of himself. Um,
Hmm.
like sending Huan to get the flour and things like that. Like he if he can like avoid the danger, then he will. So, um, and I feel like he is um his feelings for him, just aren't on the same level. And I think he realizes that because there's, as I said, there's a couple of moments as well where like he doesn't understand how Zhao Bao could possibly still want to be with him. Like, he's done this, he's whatever. Why are you like this? Like, he doesn't understand that. So he doesn't have that kind of love. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not, because he can't understand that. Like, he doesn't share that
I
same
think maybe
passion and
that's
love. And
because he always felt like he had some power over him, like he was above him. Like he
yeah,
never
maybe.
saw
And I
him
think,
as an equal because of their
yeah, and I
social positions and everything.
possibly, and I think that also ties in with what I was just about to say is, and I think also as well because he's clearly meant to be older. They mention it a bunch of times, and like he when they were younger treated Zhao Bao like the naughty little brother,
Hmm.
and so he probably has that kind of not really realizing, and it's probably a bit twisted up in the fact that um he has this I feel like he has a familial affection for Zhao Bao,
Hmm.
and it's twisted up in the fact that he is attracted to him sexually. So I think like I don't think he necessarily maybe loved him like romantic love, but because he was attracted to him and he loved him, it like got twisted in his mind, and whatever it was, he didn't think it was right anyway, so he didn't explore it until, as
Hmm.
you said, like towards the end where he kind of realizes that like it's not going to happen, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I feel like he embraces that a little bit, but I did wonder, like, because I kept watching it, because he would treat him like family, or he would treat him like a little brother and stuff like that. And then he would treat like he was attracted to him, and then, you know, that sort of stuff. And so, and then 5 minutes later he would be treating him again like you would treat like your sibling or something. And so I feel like that's part of it. Like, I do feel like that maybe the love that he feels for him is more familial, but because there's also an attraction for him because he's a guy, or like he's his type or whatever in terms of guys, that like that it was all confused because he'd never explored the possibility or the reality of like what that would mean if he was to like embrace it. um so because he clearly did not understand like their love, and like, I mean, obviously their love's a little bit more obsessive and like whatever, and all the rest of it, and they at sometimes seem to be almost like soul bonded, I guess is a way to put it, because, you know, there were moments where like something would happen to Zhao Bao and Huan would feel it, or when
Mhm.
something was happening to Huan, and Zhao Bao would
Mhm.
like, you know, be afraid or something. And so
Wake up.
like whether or not that was, yeah, whether or not that was an actual thing happening, it definitely seemed like it. Um so, you know, unless you're experiencing that, you probably wouldn't understand it like as a third party anyway. Um but it was, and of course they kept leaning into the fact that the young prince, was it Zhao Yu,
Yeah.
Huan's actual
Mhm.
brother,
Mhm.
who kept trying to murder him, was like, you know, obsessively, you know, interested in Shu Yin. So, and he almost seemed, it was funny because in the beginning when he first turned up, I was confused by their relationship as well, because he seemed to take like preferential ownership of Shuyin's character, and like that, like as far as he was concerned, he was his. And I was like, what would indicate to him that he had that right, you know, unless they had a prior relationship in that regards. But I feel like you actually just hit the nail on the head where you said, because of their social dynamics, once again, you know, Shuyin was above Zhao Bao, but then the young prince is above Shu Yin as well. So it's like, I feel like he humored the little prince kind of
Mhm.
thing. Do you know what I mean? Because he has to.
Mhm.
But also obviously there is a little bit of affection in that too, because he did let him get away with some shit that he probably wouldn't, you know, necessarily let other people get away with. Um, and he actually did handle them very similarly. Like if you go back to like the first couple episodes, the way he spoke to Zhao Bao and stuff, and that is very similar to how he's. I'm gonna call him the Little Prince because, you know, I'm like, I know I'm saying his name wrong anyway. Um, and so, and like even at the end, we still had that kind of like alluding to the fact that he still was chasing after Sheen essentially, and Sheen was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like eventually, get the impression that eventually he was going to wear him down.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Definitely.
that's at least how it came across to
Yeah.
me. So,
Mhm.
um, it's but in the beginning, I was like, as I said, I was thinking, oh, maybe something has happened with him in the past. But as I said, Sheen definitely comes across as a character who was very closeted and like would not have like gone there, you know, like that was not in his, like even in his thought process. I don't think towards the end, yes, maybe as you said, like he's a priest, he's thought about what this means and all the rest of it. um but I feel like up until the end, not really. And so then I had to readjust my thinking, and I'm just like, no, it's just the little prince just like really wants it. And I think because he is the little prince, he's like, I'm entitled to this, like you should do this because, you know, I'm the little prince and I want it. Like that is like his whole. So he also needs to have um a like moment of bloody you know, something happened to him where he realized, you know, where that feeling twists into something like not so toxic. And whether or not there were other books, I don't know. I believe I saw something about, I think there is a spin-off or a second book, I think, which focuses on um the doctor and Jin Bao, I
Mhm.
believe. Like there is a story that was written that's theirs, but I don't know if they if the writer did anything for Xuyin and the Little Prince, which I feel like there's a story there. Like as I said, it definitely alludes to the fact that that was like eventually he would just wear him down.
Mhm.
Or he would get himself into so much trouble that the other one would have to save him or do something, and then, you know, stuff would happen from there. But like, Yeah, I should stop talking. It's so funny. I was like, before we recorded this, I was like, I'm probably not going to say much. You're going to have way more to say than me. And then I don't think I've shut the fuck up like for 10 minutes. So, like, yeah, I'm going to stop talking and let you talk for a little
No,
bit.
don't stop talking. Don't say stuff like this. I'm starting to panic. Do you have a favorite episode?
Did you say, do I have a favorite
Yeah.
episode? I don't know. That's hard for me because I haven't done a rewatch or anything. So in my mind, it's all kind of like blended together.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely aspects of like every episode that I really liked. Like I love, and I don't know if this is episode 1 or if it's in episode 2, but I love the bit where um when they first meet, and as you said, like Zhao Bao was like, "Oh, go and help him, and all
Mm-hmm.
go and
Mm-hmm.
help her," and all this, and he's clearly like kicking ass, like he's a badass, and yet like Zhao Bao is acting like he's a damsel in distress, which is hilariously funny. Um,
So
and then
scenes. Mm-hmm.
when and then when he does like sort of need assistance and he ends up on his ass, and Zhao Bao like rushes over to him, and he's just like, I came to your rescue and I protected you. And it's like, dude, you sat in the like, you sat in the like little cart thing while your men joined in and just like, you just like observed. I just thought he was very funny. But like the bit that I probably really liked, and as I said, I don't know if this is in the first episode or the second episode, is when we first meet Shuyan and that, and he
Oh.
meets and they all meet each other kind of thing, and Zhao Bao trips over and they
Uh-huh.
both like go to help him up, and it's just like in that moment I was like, oh, hello love triangle. But I do love that one of the things that I really appreciated, because I know Morella knows very much so, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it on one or another podcast, that I do not love like well, I do not like love triangles as a rule. That is not a trope that I ever really, subscribe to. In actual fact, it will usually put me off of something. But I could see that this was going to be funny, so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, wait and see how it goes. And I
Mm-hmm.
do love and I appreciate the fact that they never really like there was never any doubt or confusion or anything from Xiao Bao. Like Xiao
Mm-hmm.
Bao just never saw him that way at
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
in any respect. Like he always was like the big brother or like someone he should respect and honor, but he was never like it was never and he definitely like valued him as a friend and as a mentor, and loved him in that way, but it was never ever a consideration for him. So there was no love triangle. There was like a weird like L shaped like thing with just two open sides. A V. It was a V.
Mm-hmm.
Where don't think that's right either. Yeah, no, it is. Yes, yes, no, yes, that's right. The point of the V was Zhao Bao. But yeah, and so I really did appreciate that. But yeah, I loved that scene where he tripped and fell and they both just like made a move to especially
Oh,
because Ewan is just like had just been like, I hate him, blah blah blah, like get away from me, and then like his first instinct is to help him. I was just like, you guys are so fucking hopeless. Like
it's so
this is
funny
gonna be
because
brilliant.
I thought about my favorite scene as well, and at first I considered, the tenderness moment from, was it episode 10, right, when Huayan finds Xiao Bao and he's like, oh, I saved your parents, but it doesn't matter, I didn't want to tell you, and he looks at him and he touches him, on his face
Mm.
tenderly. And then I thought about the moment, after in episode 6, after the pleasure house, when he is thinking like Xiao Bao is unconscious and Huayan just looks at him like they're in the carriage, and he looks at him with his crazy eyes. Like
Mm.
he is so obsessed, and I'm fascinated by that piece of acting where he like lays his head on him. Love that.
Mm.
But uh now that you mentioned the fall, I remembered the moment from, I'm not sure, was it episode 3 or 4, after the second time they were intimate, when Sao Bao is trying to approach Huayan and Huayan pushes him away and Sao Bao falls down. And then he tries to get up and Huayan pushes him again. And suddenly he finds it amusing and he starts smiling. And Sao Bao sees that and he's just so
Enamored.
enamored, and he is overjoyed to see Huayan smile. He's so happy to, and he's like, did I say enchanted?
Mm.
Yeah, and then Huayan catches that on his face, that emotion on his face, and he's so confused and flustered that he runs away. I really love that scene. I saw
Yeah.
it in a gift set yesterday. It popped up on my timeline, and I was like, "Oh my god, that was so fucking cute." It was
It
so
was, yeah.
cute.
I don't know that I could necessarily, as I said, pick a favorite moment or a favorite scene or a favorite episode as such, because I feel like to be able to do that, I'd need to watch it more than once, because it's hard for me. It'll a lot of it blends together, and as I said, a lot of the like probably at least for the first 6 episodes, there were huge chunks of time where I think maybe I was distracted as well from certain aspects of the show because I was so busy trying to be like, what the fuck is going on? And
Mm-hmm.
also, they speak really fast, so like sometimes this, like I'd have to go back and reread the subs or like whatever because it'd be there and then it'd be gone, or I would miss part of it. And sometimes I would go back, and other times I'd be like, oh yeah, I think I got the gist of it, and then I'd be 10 minutes later, and I was like, yeah, clearly I have no idea, I missed something back there somewhere. So I have that kind of like in me, and so I will definitely be watching this again at some point. Um, Probably multiple times. I feel like this is the kind of show that you would go back and watch, like to when you're like sick or something, and you want something that's gonna make you laugh, but
Oh,
also maybe
definitely.
make
Oh,
you
I
cry.
love that. I love this aspect of this show. It feels
Yeah,
so murderous and weird and just ridiculous, but so comfy. It's so
yeah,
comfy.
I agree. And yeah, so but there were so many parts that I loved, and like honestly, a lot of the bits I loved are the stuff that's funny because I have a twisted, kind of mind, and so when shit is kind of fucked up but also sort of amusing, I love that. Throw some romance in there and like that's it. That's my sweet spot right there. So I like that, but I also like the trauma driven stuff as well. So like this was kind of right up my alley, this whole show. But
Hmm.
there are definitely lots of different bits, and like I just said, there's that bit there, the bit as well where he I'm trying to remember what the exact conversation was. But it was like one of the many, many times where he went to Zhao Bao and was trying to say, like, basically say to him, "You promised me that you would forgive me," like,
Hmm.
um, where he's trying to basically say like, well, what I did is not even that bad, like, and I
Uh-huh.
think it's before he realizes, yeah, it is, it's before he realizes that there's anything wrong with Zhao Bao, and it's that scene where he realizes that there's something wrong with Zhao Bao,
Hmm.
and you just see like on his face, like he is so scared and he is so
Hmm.
like not in that moment, nothing else, everything else stops for him, and the
Hmm.
only thing that matters is making sure that he lives. um and that becomes his new mantra, is that like, I promise that I'll save you, I'll promise that I'll do this, I'll promise that I'll do that. And when he gets these little bits and pieces, these little clues, like that Zhao Bao is concerned about him, and I do love that. I love that, like, we have this whole section where like Zhao Bao is basically like so angry at him because of everything, and he feels betrayed. And I think a lot of his anger towards Hyoyan is has to actually do is mixed up in with the anger that he has because of his parents, because
Hmm.
he keeps talking about how he betrayed him and everything,
Hmm.
and he honestly, his betrayal isn't that significant, and especially considering he basically warned him it was going to happen
Hmm.
and promised him that he would fix it.
Hmm.
So it's that he is like, he can't be that angry at his parents, I feel like, and so he gives him a what do you call it, like a target, an easy target. And so I loved how like the we had this whole section where he's just like blaming him, keeps telling him that he won't ever love him, that he wants him to go away, that like it'd be better if he just went away and
Tells
died,
him
and
the
like all this
things
sort of
that
stuff.
he's most scared of and that hurt him most. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have this scene where the once again, where Yu Xing Ming, basically like the doctor, basically is pulling his puppet strings, and essentially informs Xiao Bao of the risk that he's taking to get the flower for him on the side of the mountain, and how he'll probably or potentially could die, and it's highly likely because not only is it dangerous to pick the flower, but also clearly it's a trap. Like, you know, that lots of people are out to get him, and that, you know, this will probably result in his death. And this boy who has been like, you know, wishing death on him, hating on him, telling him he wants him to leave him alone, that he you know, and being, you know, like even when he's in pain and he's in at his weakest and everything and all the rest of it. And then we have this moment where it's like the worst possible time for him to go outside. It's like whatever, and yet he just abandons everything, including his own, like, let's say, sanity, because that was the threat, wasn't it, that when he got so much pain he would just like basically go insane and die. um and he risked all of that just to try and save him. And then you would have these moments of where Yuan was like, you know, like totally focused on like his end goal, which was making sure that he lived. But like he'd have these moments where he's like, you really care about me. Like he doubted
You
himself,
still like me, right?
and Zhao Bao's love for him the entire way. Like that's why he lays down and like almost dies, kind of thing, in episode 11, because he was always waiting for it to happen. You know what I mean? Like, and so anytime he like got this clue of like, you really love me, you really care about me, you really, you know, whatever, he was just like, he would get just briefly distracted for a moment and like, you know, revel in it, and then he would be like, okay, back onto the mission, which was making sure that Zhao Bao was safe. And I so hated Su Yin for that bit where he gave the necklace back to him and was like, oh, he doesn't want to be with you anymore. And I'm just like, you're a liar.
Yeah,
I
I
believe I
remember
sent
a
you
message. The motherfucker message was about him. It was about this moment.
I just remember, yeah, I was gonna say there was probably a crazy rant about that. I feel like because I was like very angry, and I was so sure, I was like 99.99999% that, you know, that was not a thing that had been given willingly with a message. Like I was like, you are so full of shit. And then of course then we get this like adorable scene of Zhao Bao waking up and panicking because he can't find it. And I'm just like, you motherfucker. I hated Yin so much right in that moment. I was
I
just
just
like,
I just realized that the aspect of Xiao Bao's character, um, of him being like this person who cannot protect themselves, who's not good at fighting, who's actually very, you know, gentle and soft with
well,
people most of the time. I
yeah,
really like it.
they paint him as being quite weak.
I like that he does not get transformed into this murderous you know, assassin towards the end, who does not have compassion anymore.
Yeah. I love as well. What I do like though about it is, as you said, like he is painted as very gentle, almost weak in some aspects, but I love that he
Use
does
his
get brave, and
wits.
he will stand up and risk it all
Yes,
for
that
the people that he loves.
that and also the fact that he starts, you know, scheming and lying to get what he wants, even
Yeah.
even with the
It's
people
the
that actually are
band-aid
trying to save
solution.
him. I love this. I really
Yeah.
love this.
Yeah.
I love his character.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And as I said, there was definitely like, I saw some people talking about like how they wish there was more character. I was like, there was heaps of character development. Like they both changed so much.
Oh
And given that it's
yes.
only a 12 yeah, given that it's only a 12 episode show and there were many characters and many sort of plots going on and all the rest of it, this is a show that could have gone for 30 or 40 episodes easy, because there was so much like they were trying to cram the world building and the history in
Mm-hmm,
there, and like
mm-hmm.
there might have been some things that weren't as impactful, weren't as like
As
whatever
clear.
as
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as they could have been if they'd had that opportunity. But given that it was 12 episodes and so much happened each episode, that I feel like they did a really good job
Mm-hmm.
of their
Mm-hmm.
character development in actual
I
fact.
agree. I
So
agree.
yeah, it's a I don't know what I would rate it because I feel like it's hard. Like I don't really have a rating system anyway. But like, if someone said to me, "Oh, what do you give it out of 10 or whatever?" Because obviously, like we talk about my drama list, and that's part of it is you go there and you rate the show. I must go and write a review, but I'm so ridiculously lazy, so we'll see how that goes. Um, but I find it hard actually to rate this show because it's like I don't know. It's as I said, it's not perfect by any means, but I really enjoyed it. It gives the warm fuzzies, which is hilariously funny when you think about like the context of the
Yeah.
show and the genre and everything. It makes you kind of go like there was something that happened early
Don't you
on. I
love all
remember
the
there was
torture?
yeah, there was something that happened early on. It was after you'd started watching it too. So it might have been around like episode 3, 4, 5, one of those episodes, I think.
Mhm.
And something happened that was like so twisted. And I don't I vaguely remember sending you a message being like, "This is so fucked up. I love it." So just and I was like, "Do you ever wonder is there something wrong with me? Because I'm enjoying this so much." I don't
You know, I
remember what
want
it
to know
was
what it
now,
was
but
about.
yeah, I can't remember what it was in regards to, but yeah, and it's like that. But anyway, I find it hard to sort of, I don't know. I think if I had to give it I'm trying to put it in context with other stuff that I've rated really high, like say for example, like Not Me or something. But or
Yeah,
like
it's hard. It's its own thing, and like it's quite unique, especially now because there's nothing like it
yeah,
yet. I
yeah.
hope there will
I
be
and I
more
think as
stuff.
well, like I think I'm inclined to rate it quite high,
Hmm.
even though I don't necessarily think it like deserves it, but as you said it's like the first of its kind. So like I feel like if I was like say if I went to like my drama list right now, I might be tempted to rate it at like an 8 or something, and then like if they make more of these and they do them better, you know what I mean, like if they really fulfill the full potential of what this could be, I can see me being like going back in a couple of years time being like this was more like a 6. But being like, you can stay at 8, baby, because you'll always be my favorite.
No,
But
no, you
yeah,
cannot do that. Like, no, you're not allowed to leave it at 8.
yeah, that's
You
right.
know,
Like I feel like
it
my
did
heart
its
wouldn't let me
job.
change it.
Look how you're feeling. Look how we're feeling about it. Like, I mean, I think it
Yeah,
deserves a high note, a high
I think
grade.
so too. I honestly do. And as you said, it's a very different. It's hard because when you rate something high, and you can't like. So for example, like I loved this. I did. I'm not going to apologize for its flaws. It's whatever toxic moments it had or whatever. I did. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. Um, but like, how do you compare this to like, say, Not Me? I always also love, and like something like I Will Knock You, which I also love. Like, how do you compare them? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't. So it's like a rating system is a hard way to do it. Like, I feel like we should do away with things like how many stars, how many what. I feel like it should be like, how did it make you feel? Like,
Exactly, exactly.
and like the rating is I kicked my feet and grinned like a lunatic, then that probably fits this.
Yes,
I also
it's
cried. Didn't I? I cried. I think I said to you I bawled at some point. I don't remember what made me cry. Um, but I cried. I laughed. I maybe peed myself a little bit because it was so funny. I have that was a joke, by the way. I have some I do have some questions about like the filming and the shooting and some of the choices they made. We were talking about earlier, but like it's funny, Mum was saying to me last night after she watched the last episode about you're laughing because you think I'm going to say something, but I'm not. It's not what you think I'm going to say. I am going to talk about that in a minute, but that's not what I'm about to talk about. Mum was saying about like how cold it must have been when they filmed
Oh
this because
yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
you kept seeing like all of the puffs of air coming out of their
Mm-hmm.
mouths, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like I saw something where they were talking about how like it was freezing when they were
Mm-hmm.
filming this. um I'm like, yeah, there's a reason why they kept bringing the what do you call it, like fire thing full of coals closer to them. It wasn't because it was part of the storyline, it's because they were all gold.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but one of the things that I was actually going to talk about, and which is why you started laughing, was the kiss, the emotional kiss. with the snot. What was that?
They did make certain decisions, especially when it comes to close-ups, and I am fascinated by these decisions. And you know what? I'm not gonna question them. It's there.
I feel
It left an impression.
like
It is.
it makes me giggle when you think about it. I mean, I think it's funny because I think it's funny in a way that's like realistic too. Because I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, they had been crying, yeah, or
Mhm.
something. Like he'd been crying, so he's emotional. Those sorts of things happen when you're emotional. They also it also happens when it's really fucking cold and you can't like because you can't feel like the end of your nose or like whatever. You don't know what's going on. And so like it was a very realistic kiss in actual fact. It wasn't a Hollywood kiss. I feel like that's the best way to put it. It didn't feel manufactured and
Mhm.
brushed and
Mhm.
made pretty
It felt
for like,
very, very sincere somehow.
yeah, yeah.
Even
But then
though
you were just like, oh,
it was obviously a pretty serious kiss, movie kiss, but at the same time with all
yeah.
the liquids involved, I think like
all
gave
the
it a
all the
realistic, sincere vibe. Like
all the
very
fluids were
vulnerable.
there.
But
They also had been waiting for the kiss and wanted to be a part of it. But yeah, it was really funny. I remember watching it and being like, "Oh wow,"
uh-huh,
and then I was like,
yeah.
"Oh wow," and then I was like, "Oh wow, what does that mean?"
A kiss happens always.
It's quite funny. And then I love how you were like, "It was a choice." But yeah, I'm just like, it was a choice. But
uh-huh.
yeah, actually, in actual fact, it's just me like how much have we laughed about it, so it's added more joy. And
Seriously,
I feel like as
this
well.
series brought me so much joy. I'm very thankful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. We think about it, we're talking about it, whatever, and as we're doing it, I have a smile on my face,
Hmm.
and I feel like that that's an authentic response from me. Like I can't control that. But yeah, I do really appreciate like really whatever kisses they gave us because I
Hmm.
feel like
Oh,
knowing
that
these
is
kisses
not
really. I
that
don't
is not
know.
us critiquing the kiss. We're just commenting on it.
Oh,
At least from my part, on my part.
oh yeah. Oh no, I'm not
That
critiquing it
is
either.
not
I honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm just like laughing because
uh-huh.
of fluids. But as I said, I feel like it felt very realistic. So,
uh-huh.
and I don't have an issue with it.
Hmm.
And to the point where I feel like I think it's amazing that we got any kisses given, as I said, the history of these kinds of shows and like the area of the world that they're being
Hmm.
made in and all the controversy and banning and all the rest of it. Everybody knows the stories, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But like I honestly when this first started and even in the first episode in the first second episode where you had the like aphrodisiac moment where people are like was it a non-consensual moment or not, it to me it looks like it's consensual. It may not have initially been like the intention because obviously Zhao Bao was like
I mean, it's
oh
very
pretty
twisted.
girl,
It's
oh my
this kind
god,
of
we'll see.
circumstance. It's like this circumstance where it's hard to, decide because, like, you could say that he was not in his right mind. He was not, like conscious of what was happening and
Yeah,
entirely conscious, but at the same time, he is dying if something doesn't happen. So it's, they
yeah,
created this
and I feel like
situation where, like, you can just accept it and move on.
yeah, well, I think the fact that the characters accept it is
Mm-hmm.
like one
Yeah.
one part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is there is a shot in that scene where like hands are touching arms and then, they're gripping each other. Like it's not a fight or a get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
like almost like an acceptance of what's happening. So to me that's a form of consent. So
Mm-hmm.
um anyway,
And
without getting into
and
that too
also
much.
what matters is how they feel after the
Yeah,
deed
exactly.
happens,
Yeah, what they think is happening,
mm-hmm.
what their agency
How they
they
feel
think is
about each
happening.
other.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really funny because, like, in the scene afterwards with Xiao Bao, I remember that, like, he's more angry about the fact that, like, he's not there than the fact that this actually happened. Like, there was that
Ah,
aspect.
yeah.
He's like, "Where is he?" You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And
Mm-hmm.
then and that, like, maybe, he was a little bit sore or whatever, like, in the how dare he? But it was not like I feel like I've been,
Mm-hmm.
assaulted or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that, he never came across as that, at least not to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the point I was we went off topic, but the thing that I was trying to say was when I remember when I first saw that bit, the way they shot that scene was intimate and everything, but it wasn't like overly like graphic or like whatever, and we never saw any actual kiss or and so I was thinking, oh, okay, so this is how they're going to do it. And then the first couple of scenes where we had where they were sort of semi intimate and that it was through the gauze of a curtain or it was whatever, and so I was thinking, oh, they're playing with us in a way that is it's very obvious what's going on, but they're
Mm-hmm.
still playing it safe. And I thought, okay, I'm disappointed, but I understand, and I assumed that that's how the show was going to go. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, okay, well, all right, so this is what's happening. I can't remember what it was that happened, and I'm not, I love it when characters kiss and stuff like that because it's romantic, and I feel like it is reasonable to expect to see the representation from like whatever type of pairing it is, whether it's straight, gay, sapphic, whatever it is. Um, I like that they all everybody kisses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see that. I don't think it always necessarily needs to be there, but it should not be there as well.
I love the fact that they left the kiss for later, for when they both open with each other, when they both more mature, when they know each other actually very well, when they are both vulnerable. And it just feels so different. Maybe this is one of the reasons why it feels so sincere, because this is the first
Mm.
kiss that we actually see.
Yeah, see properly, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we got, I can't remember, there was another moment that we got that was like highly kind of like suggestible, let's say, more so than anything we'd seen before. And I remember watching it and being like, I think I clapped, like I think I gave them a round of applause, and it wasn't even because it was like I was like, ooh, two boys kissing, or like or whatever they were doing. I can't remember, but it was like, yay, oh my god, they're so brave, like they like, this is great, I'm really proud, you know what I mean, like I'm glad that I'm a part of it, sort of thing. And I had that response as well, like once I got past the like emotional thing and the oh wow fluids. I also was like, I'm so glad that this exists. Do you know what I mean? Like I was
Hmm.
so happy and
Yeah.
proud and just everything, and I was like, I was here like when, like in 10 years' time when there's like hundreds of these and they're like, everybody's made one and, whatever. And it's a really big thing and people love it and they argue about what are the best ones or whatever. I'm going to like, I watched the first one,
Hmm.
you know, I was there, I saw it. We did a podcast where we talked about it. Like,
Obsessed over
pioneers. Like
it.
we,
Yeah.
yeah, we're like pioneers. I mean, we did nothing. We just talked about it and watched it and enjoyed it. But, like we're a part of this. But you know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I felt when I was watching it. So that was also cool as well. So I really hope that I feel like it seems very popular. I feel like people are responding to it in the right kinds of ways. They're taking it for like what it was.
Hmm.
Um and I mean, as I said, I have
Mostly.
seen some negative stuff about certain things, but it's like, well, honestly, then this probably is not the kind of show that you would be watching
Hmm.
anyway. So I'm not really sure why you're having a commentary on it. Like. But that's just, I mean, I'm like each to their own, but I also
Hmm.
kind of feel a bit like if it's not your thing and you didn't like it, then don't watch it. Don't watch others like it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the, what do you call it? What did they say? That's the something for insanity where you do the same thing over and over again and you expect a different response. Like there's
Hmm.
somebody I see every now and then on social media who are always complaining about certain things, but it's because they're watching the same genre of program
Hmm.
and these are the tropes and these are the things that are in it. Like if you don't like those things, then that's not a fault with the show. That's you don't like that. then stop fucking watching it and complaining about it. Like, other people like it. It's made for those people. It's not
Yeah.
made for you. If you don't
Yeah,
like it, don't
because
watch it.
it feels like it was made for certain group of people who have certain expectations from the media that they consume or from the things
Yeah,
that they watch. Let's say, and let's use the consume because it feels very like superficial, but like
yeah.
I feel like there was a list of things that I wanted to see, and they checked all the boxes. They pushed it a little bit with some stuff. I was not ready for some stuff, but you know, it's in the end it worked well as a whole. It's
Yeah, and that I think the word you're looking for rather than consume or consumer is fan. Like, you're a fan of the genre. So you had, some expectations, you had some wants, you had some, like, things that you like when you read the books that, like, you wanted to see communicated visually. And that makes sense. And that you're the target audience, like,
yeah.
majoritively you're the target audience. I'm curious about everything. So they also get me, and then they get, other people who get dragged into it, who stumble upon it, or like whatever. But this is a very kind of niche sort of show. Like, it's very like, if you don't like watching things that are like semi historical, or you don't like watching fantasy, or you don't like whatever, you're not someone who watches shows with subtitles. Like, there's so many people that this is not a show for, without even factoring in any triggers or like whatever. So it's just it boils down to it at the end of the day. It's like, I remember seeing a reviewer on YouTube like bagging, I can't even remember what show it was. It was a Thai BL, and they weren't bagging it because it was a BL, and it's not. I'm not going to name what BL it was. It's a bad BL. I thought it was like, we're talking about like how bad it was, and I was I was ready to listen to an amusing roast.
Mhm.
But in actual fact, what it was a criticism of like the fact that there were subtitles and then it was in another language. I'm like, you're literally watching a Thai BL. Like, what were you expecting? Like, did you want them to come and speak? Like, what the fuck? Like, why are you review? And it was so negative because
Mhm.
it had subtitles. I'm like, dude, just don't watch stuff with subtitles. You're like, it problem solved. You didn't need to make a 40-minute video about it. Like, honestly.
Oh wow,
And I'm like, wow. And also, it's one of the ones where, like,
that is
you
an
know, it was dubbed properly.
entitled kind of
Oh, yeah.
thing.
It's just like, I have an opinion and people must know it.
Mm.
Which sounds funny because, like, we literally have a podcast where all we talk about is our opinion. But I don't expect people. That goes for this as well. We don't expect, if you don't agree with us or you don't like what we're saying, we don't expect you to continue to listen to us, because, like, obviously your time is precious. We don't want to anger you. We don't want to upset you. We want you to have fun with us. If you're not having fun, then this isn't for you. And that's the same with any media, whether it's a novel, whether it's a movie, a TV show, like whatever. Like, I
Yeah,
feel it's so
yeah.
weird that
And
people.
why the fuck did I read that novel then? You know what? I probably hate
Well,
myself. This is why.
and it's like, it's so funny. Like, I remember saying to Marilla, "What are you reading? What's the name of the book called?" And she's like, "Oh, Loving the Time of Cholera." I'm like, well, that right there is your problem.
It was a gift,
Like,
okay?
the title says it all. But I get it. Like, I get it. It's like me reading that book that I had. It was on a TBR list. It was a book my sister gave me, 10 years ago or something, and I was meant to read it, never got around to it. Read the book 2/3 of the way in, really enjoying it, knew it was part of a series, it was book one, and I thought, oh, I should get the next book because I'm really enjoying this, only to find out that the writer never wrote the next book. I have no idea why. No idea.
You
Couldn't even
know,
find someone who'd written a fan fiction ending for it, which was like devastating. I was like, fan fiction, community, you've let me down. And like, I was really, questioning my life choices as I was finishing that book. I was like, do I finish it and find out, that it ends on a cliffhanger? Because obviously, of course, it literally said on the cover, like, a cliffhanger. You won't, want to wait till the next book or some crap like that. And and all the rest of it. And then at the same time, I was like, do I just stop it now? Do I keep going? Like, what do I do? What am I going to regret the most or the least? I ended up finishing it. In actual fact, the thing that is most regretful for me, I think, from memory, is that the book was so good. I
Mm.
really enjoyed the story and everything, and it had so much potential leading into like a sequel, and it just never fucking happened. And it's been 10 years, so it's never gonna happen. And I'm just like, you know,
I think
this
the
is
thing
why.
that frustrates me most about that book is the fact that I felt like when I was reading that, I felt like the author did that on purpose. He constructed these characters to make me feel like I don't, to make me not like them, to make me, judge them for the things that they do, to but on
Mm.
the cover, it was literally written like it's one of the most romantic love stories. I was like, where the fuck the like I was way past the middle of the book. I was like, where the fuck is the love story? Where is the romantic love story? Everything I see here is just like, oh, they're horrible. Like it's just wow, no. And I tried to look for some commentary, but I was not very um insistent with that. I gave up pretty quickly when I did not find people. I tried to ask,
Yeah.
I tried to ask the person who gave me the book to ask what exactly they liked about it, and I did not get an answer. So I'm still confused.
I'm like, I would be questioning as to whether or not that person liked me. Like, it's
Yeah.
like you're like, what did I ever do to you? Like, did you? Was it something that I said? Like, I don't know. How did this happen?
Well,
But yeah,
anyway,
no. Well,
did not have this experience with this series. It was great. Loved it. Thank
it
you.
was.
Had a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
zero regrets. Zero regrets. Now, I
Anyway.
feel like I feel like because I mentioned my book that I should probably tell people what it's actually called so no one accidentally reads it. But I'm trying to remember the name of it and the author. Um, it's called The Aftermath. And it's written by, oh my god, hang on. Who is the author? Let me just quickly search it. And hey, if you happen to know anything about this book, please tell me. Like, why? Like, what happened? I couldn't find anything about it online. Jen Alexander. Yeah, it was such a good. It had so much potential. It was such a shame. I'm just like, oh, the pain. But yeah, this show healed a little bit of that pain.
Yeah.
Because it was funny. I think when I started watching this as well, I went into it with very little expectations. Um, I feel like my main I feel like I had an idea of what it should be, obviously. As I said, I've seen The Untamed, I've seen a male female kind of similar sort of story, not similar to this, but like in that, I guess, genre of, set in this fantasy kind of world like this. And so I kind of had, like I was expecting somewhere in between those two, like like the Untamed, but with the romantic connection, physicality of, like, the straight one. I was expecting somewhere in between, which also wasn't over the top in, over demonstrative in, kisses and things like that. They were there though, you know what I mean? That's the difference. But I also was kind of like very aware of the fact that we might not get any of that, that this might just be a little inching closer to the line, like towing the line to see exactly what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Um, and so I was very surprised by
Yeah.
the whole thing. And I think I remember saying to you when I first watched the first couple of episodes that I was like, this is really funny and I need you to watch it to tell me if it's like actually funny or if I'm just like there's something wrong with my brain.
Yep.
Because
I
I
remember
I
that
was
message. Yes.
yeah, because I was
Your brain is
surprisingly
fine. It's
yeah.
good. It's fine.
I was I do also still think there's something wrong with my brain, but that's on a separate note. um but I was just really kind of intrigued and pleasantly surprised by the
Yeah.
fact that, it had this vibe to it that was fun and light, but also it still had that gritty darkness to it, the twistedness that I was expecting
the
from
stuff
something
that we
like this.
love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is it, right?
Yeah, I feel like we talked way longer than we intended. I feel like this was meant to be like a 30-minute conversation, and we'll see how long it actually ends up being, but it can be an apology for like we've been away for a bit. So it's like it's an apology. We're sorry, but we're back now.
Look forward to
Um
our future series for Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, the book, and all
yeah,
for the
the book
game.
series.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to do some book series coming up soon, which we're
Yes.
really excited about. I'm going to order the rest of the books
Me
probably
too.
tomorrow, Morella. So I'm like excited about that.
Thank you for hanging out with us. Follow us on Tumblr and Twitter. Share the podcast with people who you think will find it interesting. And
Yeah, let us know. Did you watch this? What did you think? Did you laugh as well? Come on, tell us. We want to know. Did you notice the fluids?
Goodbye for now.
Bye.